Mariners baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Alaska Airlines, 80 nonstop destinations and growing. By your local Ford stores. By the Emerald Queen Casino, presenting the Under the Sun Tour with Eve 6, July 25th. Tickets at emeraldqueen.com. And by Safeco Insurance, find a local agent at safeco.com. Do more. Well, voice giving out a little bit. I must need those. Need the dog this time. Pre-game's over. Time to get it up to the guys calling the game. It's Dave Sims and our good friend, Mr. Bill Kruger. That's where I'm going, guys. You enjoy the game.
All right, watch that diet, Brad. Be careful. Welcome, everybody. Happy Sunday to you. Bill Kruger joins us today as we wrap up the first half of the season. A lot to gain, not that much to lose. The Mariners are doing some good things coming in here, Bill.
Yeah, the Angels have taken off. They've come right up against the edge of first place against Houston, so they've got to know their position right now. The Mariners, well, does it mean that this is a do-or-die game? No. They can have a chance to have a winning homestand, but I think it's more the psychology, Dave. This team has been treading water. We've seen the 500 numbers, but they seem to be playing on an uptick. I think a win gives them some positive thing to say, yes, we are.
There's a good feeling in the clubhouse today, that's for sure. Let's take a look at our Lexus pitching matchup for today. Mr. Taijuan Walker has been on fire, and he goes up against a really good-looking young left-hander, Andrew Heaney.
Well, Taijuan Walker is quite a metamorphosis for this young man. You know, a rough start to his season, but boy, those 7 turns in a row where he only walked 3 guys and struck out a bunch. In fact, his strikeout to walk ratio over the last 8 starts, 54 Ks and 3 walks and 54 in the third innings. Control's been his calling card. Fastball change, that's been his weapon. And I see him playing out in spades against a right-hand hitting Angel lineup. He had a tough time against Detroit, but you know, he showed a lot of mettle to hang in there.
Yeah, he gave up some home runs, and it came right back at the Detroit Tigers. Well, we're glad you are with us here as we wrap up the first half of the season. We're off to a good start. Megan Rapinoe from the U.S. women's soccer team, the World Cup champions, gets us going here on this Sunday afternoon. Sit back, relax, and enjoy Mariner baseball. First pitch straight ahead, the Mariners and the Angels. We have a sweet July Sunday here in Seattle at the corner of Edgar and Dave as we welcome you inside Safeco Field for Mariner baseball, the final game of the first half, and the Mariners trying to end on an uptick, trying to take 3 out of 4 from the Angels. Dave Sims along with Bill Kruger. We welcome you to Safeco Field this beautiful Sunday afternoon. Let's take a look at the Angels batting order that will face Taijuan Walker.
Thank you very much, Dave. Let's see what Mike Scioscia has in store for the Mariners this afternoon. Johnny Giavotella leading off at second. Calhoun in right field. Mike Trout, of course, he's been a terror in center field, hitting third. Albert Pujols on his way to the All-Star game cleanup at first base. Ibar, who's been hot, is at shortstop. Freese is your third baseman. C.J. Crow, the DH. Matt Joyce in left field. Chris Iannetta will be catching for the Halos. On the hill today, Taijuan Walker. What a story, what a metamorphosis for this young man. Had a tough time his last turn, but you see the numbers. They just keep getting better and better, Dave. This guy, big fastball in the mid-90s and an excellent changeup.
Gotta love his attitude. First pitch. Fastball at 95 for strike one to Johnny Giavotella. .74 degrees here in Seattle as we get underway. Cloudy morning has developed into a nice sunny afternoon. Taijuan ahead 0-2. Puts him away. Good heat at 96, and we're underway. One down here at Safeco Field.
Take a look at the Mariner defense, brought to you by American Family Insurance. As we see, Seager's at third, Miller's your shortstop, Robinson Cano at second base, Logan Morrison patrolling first, the outfield of Trumbo, Jackson, and Nelson Cruz, the all-star, the battery, Taijuan Walker, and of course Mike Zunino.
Taijuan's second start against the Angels, beat them back on June 26, 3-1 down at Anaheim. Breaking ball up high to Cole Calhoun, the right fielder. It's Calhoun in between.
Excellent change up there from Taijuan. Really had a nice fade. Got off the line of the fastball nicely.
Economy of motion for Mr. Walker. It generates a lot of power. 1-1 pitch. 1 strikes, 1-2.
Boy, if that hasn't been his story, Dave. I mean, 4 walks in his last 54 and a third. It's Eckersley-like.
It's a good path to be on, that's for sure. Mariners won the first game 7-2, lost 7-3, and won 5-0 last night. Ground ball to Cano. Nice and easy. 2 down. And that'll bring up all-star center fielder Mike Trout. Trout, Pujols, Cruz, Cano, and Lloyd McClendon all be taking the same charter to Cincinnati for the all-star game. And along with their families. Trout 2 for 3 with a homer against Taijuan. This is power on power here. Hector Santiago will be on that charter as well as he replaces Sonny Gray. All business. Here are the changes made today to pitching and the rosters. Let's see. Sonny Gray, Hector Santiago added, Max Scherzer will start today, and Clayton Kershaw added.
Certainly don't like to see Scherzer out, but certainly justice with Kershaw in.
Yes.
I mean, he's one of the megastars in the game. That's where I think that's part of the formula I think they need to work on a little bit. You can't skip the guys that are perennial. Somehow they have to figure that out.
0-2 to Trout. Nice grab there on the short hop by Zunino.
This guy, I mean, he's the second coming of Mickey Mantle. A lot of fun to watch, but he's a real problem because he's such a good low ball hitter, Dave, and we're taught as pitchers to keep the ball down.
He showed that. That home run he hit 2 nights ago was crazy. One way inside out, a down and in fastball at 90 plus and hit it 415.
He's worth the price of admission. Kuma did a pretty good job with him last night. Hopefully that's a formula or a path that Taijuan can follow.
2-2 pitch. Can't say enough about what Masashi Iwakuma did last night, particularly the first inning catch made by Nelson Cruz in right field. 2 outs, a drive to the gap. He lays out, makes a catch, and essentially saved the ball game right there in the first inning. And then Kuma took it the rest of the way. 8 innings of 3-hit shutout ball.
And that's what superstars do. And I call Nelson Cruz a superstar. He's been an unbelievable first half, but you do more than just one thing to help your team win, and he did it last night because that changed the whole game.
Best catch he's made this year. He said he made a good one against Toronto going towards the line in Baltimore last year, and another one in the gap against Chicago. Now it's slapped through a wide open hole. Mike Trout's aboard. This is one of the potent 1-2 combinations, I should say 3-4 combinations in baseball. Trout hitting third and Albert Pujols
2 strikes, and you see what this guy can do, Dave. Ball's down the strike zone, and he's got that ability to stay inside the baseball. As they say, let the ball travel. And that is one heck of a piece of hitting with 2 strikes going the other way on a 98-mile-an-hour heater.
8-pitch at bat. Here's Pujols. Ball 1. Home plate umpire today, Andy Fletcher, with Jordan Baker at first, Bill Miller at second, and Doug Eddings at third. There's Andy. Albert fouls one back up. Press box. 1-1.
It's been quite a comeback here for Pujols. After a couple years of leg injuries and assorted problems, to see him come out of the chute this year, leading the American League in home runs, or tied with Mike Trout, what a professional.
Plantar fasciitis has gone away, or certainly been taken down considerably. The knee injury's healed. This one popped up. Seager battling the sun. He's got plenty of room. Hangs with it, makes the catch. Good inning for Taijuan Walker. No runs, a hit. No errors, and a man left. Nothing across for the Angels. Mariners coming to bat. Good to have you with us here in Root Sports. His first at bat. Let's take a look at their batting order that will face left-hander youngster Andrew Heaney.
Thank you very much, Dave. Let's see what Lloyd McClendon has in store for us today in the matinee in the Blues. Austin Jackson leading off at center field. Robinson Cano has had a big July, hitting second at second base. Nelson Cruz, 406 against left-handed pitching, will be your third hitter in right field. Seekers cleaning up at third. Trumbo, 7-game hitting streak, hitting 545. Your left fielder. Montero, the DH. Logan Morrison at first. Mike Zunino will be your catcher, and Brad Miller is over at shortstop.
First pitch from Heaney, way outside to Austin Jackson.
Andrew Heaney, young pitcher, #1 prospect for the Angels, came up, and look what he's done, Dave. Some pretty eye-popping numbers.
Jackson fouls one back. Yeah, I'm impressed. 2-0, 177, acquired by the Angels from the Dodgers last December for how that was the Howie Kendrick deal, and I'm still stunned that they moved Howie Kendrick. Was traded by the Marlins to the Dodgers that same day, December 10th last year. Originally drafted by the Marlins, first round, first pick overall back in 2012. Jackson back in action last night. He had missed the game before, had been taken out of the game Thursday, was back stiffened up on it. 2-2 pitch, one hop right to Eric Ibar. One away.
Take a look at the Angel defense today against the Mariners. David Freese is at third. Ibar's your shortstop. Johnny Giovatella's over at second base. C.J. Cron is the first baseman in the outfield. Matt Joyce in left. The infamous Mike Trout in center. And Cole Calhoun, your right fielder. Ian Netta will be catching Andrew Haney.
Come to you above the A in Safeco Field. Here's Robbie Cano. Looking to break an 0 for 6. All in all, it's been on a nice little run here. 8 for 28 in a homestand, a home run, 3 runs batted in, a couple of doubles.
You know, it's good to see his average come up, and I think that's almost an automatic day. But I think the big thing is he's starting to slug a little bit. And slugging isn't necessarily hitting home runs. It's doubles, in particular, driving the ball in the alley, being a bigger threat, and we're starting to see that play out.
Got 23 doubles. So fouls this one off.
We received 95. Talked to Mike Butcher, the Angel pitching coach, before the game. That Andrew is a guy that had some mechanical problems early in spring training, throwing way across his body, and they sorted it out and went down to the minor leagues, and now you're seeing the fruits of that labor. So some good work with the pitching coach paid off.
Cano tied for 4th in doubles. And an 0-2 pitch off the fist. Scribber down there. Freeze takes it, throws him out. Mariners will be well represented in Cincinnati at the All-Star game. Felix Hernandez, an 11-5 record, a 2.84 ERA, and then the boomstick himself, Nelson Cruz, 311 batting average with 21 homers and 53 runs batted in.
Mariner Nation should be very proud to have such great players and great people going back to Cincinnati.
Talked to Nelly before the game in the clubhouse today. I said, yeah, you guys got a nice little thing going here. They are winning, a win-loss pattern here, 6-5 in the month of July. But he says you can feel the buzz. He says when we're down now, it's like, yeah, so what? He said it's a different lineup now that Trumbo's getting hot. Robbie's getting hot. He said we're a different ball club, and look out in the second half. Oh, 2 strikes.
Dave and I, you and I are close to it. We can feel it. I mean, when you see this team, the offense they're starting to show, scored over 30 runs in this homestand. That just changes the whole complexion of this team.
And I like what Lloyd said to Jen before the game. We got no place to go but up. Biggest concern Lloyd talked about is the right-handers in the bullpen. He said last year this team didn't hit a lot, but they had Leon, Wilhelmsen, and Farquhar, right-handers that they bridged the gap. Well, Farquhar's been up and down, and Leon and Wilhelmsen are down at the minor leagues. Here's a broken bat ground ball, charged by Ibar, and he throws out Nelson Cruz. So 1-2-3 go the Mariners in the first inning, and Nelly will have to get a new boomstick. Second inning coming up. Fame with a special luncheon in his honor on August 7th. Enjoy a meal in the Safeco Field infield and listen to great stories and memories from Jamie and other Mariner legends, including Dan Edgar and Sweet Lou. Visit mariners.com/Jamie for more info. Look forward to seeing number 50. That'll be a lot of fun. Here's some news for you, folks. Tampa Bay 4, Houston 3. Astros have lost 6 consecutive ball games. They had led the American League West for 84 consecutive days. Rays got 2 runs in the 5th. Boxberger got his 23rd save. Eric Ibar going to lead it off, followed by David Freese and C.J. Cron. 5, 6, and 7 here against Taijuan Walker. Center field, going to get down in front of Jackson. Base hit, Eric Ibar. Let's take a look at our Arco top tier performer, and Bill Kruger is the next pitcher. You got to be thrilled looking and envious looking at this turnaround here by Mr. Walker.
Well, it speaks certainly of talent to be able to put up that kind of stretch that he put up. But I think mettle and keeping your confidence when everybody's saying, hey, I think he should go back to AAA. Boy, he's just turned this thing on a dime. And, man, these last 8 turns have been really special.
Here's David Freese. In his last outing against the #1 hitting team in baseball at the time, the Detroit Tigers, Taijuan gave up 3 home runs, but it wasn't like they knocked him through the ropes. He stood tall.
Well, he gave up those home runs and went right back at him with his best stuff, and that's a real test for a young guy.
Freese turns on one down into the corner. It's a fair ball, and that's going to be a ground rule double. And that certainly saves a run because Ibar can fly. Freese with his 16th double, and Taijuan in some trouble here in the second.
Just didn't quite finish that pitch. 93 miles an hour, not his best fastball. And just David Freese pulls his hands in. Pretty good hitting, actually, by Freese, who's, as we've watched him, Dave, a guy that hits a lot of balls to right center. So not exactly a bad choice, just maybe not his best fastball.
Freese coming off an 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts in last night's game, gets a double. The first 2 men of reach here in the second inning brings up C.J. Cron. C.J. 1 for 3 yesterday and hit 2 home runs on Friday's game.
It's the Angels version of Mike Trump. He's come back from AAA and he's been on a really nice run. Kind of the hitter they saw for a stretch last year.
One. Can't catch up to that at 95, 1-2.
One thing Taijuan is not afraid to do, Dave, is pitch inside. He's proven that over this really great stretch, and there's a great fastball up and in.
2-1. Cron gone on that 2-2 pitch.
Love it. Get ahead and go right at him with the big express. Cron kind of looking out over the plate for something else, and man, that was a safety swing if I ever saw one. Fastball in. That's straight defense, no chance.
First strikeout for Taijuan. Brings up Matt Joyce. Drawn in infield. Just trying to cut this run off. Joyce 0 for 3 with a strikeout in last night's game.
This guy loves the fastball.
Cano couldn't make the play. 1-0 Angels. Tried to get it on the short hop. E4. Moving to third is David Freese.
Knowing that Joyce is a first pitch fastball hitter, Taijuan chose the cutter, 90 miles an hour. Got it right in the loop zone, and Joyce puts a pretty good swing on it. Infield in, kind of caught in between hops. Cano unable to get a glove on it, and the Angels get on the board.
Team leading 12th error for Cano as we look at Chris Iannetta, the catcher, hitting at 189. With another strike, 0-2. Iannetta in Friday's game went 0 for 4.
Certainly he's in a position to punch him out here, but again, the stage is set for the ground ball double play that will get him out of the inning.
The 0-2.
I like that pitch. I mean, he's an artist at climbing the ladder. Really, there are very few guys I've seen just in general this year that pitch at the top of the strike zone as well as Walker does, and he does it with a big fastball too.
That's a big part of Iwakuma's success last year. Jammed it. Count stays at 1-2. You make a great point for a kid that's 22 years old.
Because there's an art to doing that. Because you're taught to pitch the ball down and to climb the ladder, but climb it just enough to get them to chase.
One-two pitch.
Good job by Taiwan. Expand the strike zone. There's a cutter off the plate. Iannetta just barely able to get a piece of that. And this is not, I'll tell you, he's yet to get out of this, Dave. We know this 8-game stretch, holding runners in scoring position, .071.
And that one gets by Zunino. That'll score the second run. Freeze. And then moving from first to second is Matt Joyce. So a 2-0 lead for the Angels. Wild pitch.
Curveball there from Taiwan. He just pulls it across the plate. And Mike just trying to slide out. He's so good at getting in front of those breaking balls. Just a little too much breaking ball there for him to block.
2-2 with the runner at scoring position. And a swing and a miss. Iannetta's gone. 2 outs.
Again, we talk about the top of the zone, top shelf to get Iannetta. Great pitch by Taiwan. Like as I said, he's an artist at the high fastball.
Second time through. Here's Johnny Giavotella. Cano charges and throws him out. Angels get 2 runs on 2 hits and an error. The wild pitch and leave him in and have a 2-0 lead. here, make sure to stop by the Seattle Children's Playfield located in center field. It's fun to be had for the whole family when you join us at the ballpark for Mariners baseball. I'll make a correction. Bobby Cano, the error he made was his fourth, just his fourth of the year. Kyle Seager going to lead it off here in the second inning. Seager, Trumbo, and Montero. Kyle swinging it really well. 5-game hitting streak, 8 for his last 19. In addition to those numbers, swinging it well against left-hand hitting. 306 clip, 5 homers against lefties. That'll get foul.
I think that's a lot about Seager staying up the middle and the other way a little bit more this year. I don't think he's quite been rewarded for that, but by staying in, keeping that front shoulder in, that's allowing him to hit left-handers better.
Mariners looking for their first hit. That might be it right there. That's hit a ton. Right field. It's off the fence. Seager into second with a leadoff double here in the second inning. Seager's hitting streak extends to 6 games. He's 9 for his last 20. And the Mariners off to a good start here in the second inning. His 19th double.
Talk about nosing one up, Dave. He was trying to go away. Fastball middle in. And Seager just turns it loose right here. Pulls those hands inside and barrels that thing up. You can't hit a ball more pure than that right there.
Here's another hot hitter. Seager at second, leadoff double. Mark Trumbo. It has been fun watching him transition back to his old form. He looks at a strike, a 7-game hitting streak for Big Mark. 12 for his last 22, and that batting average has really jumped.
Part of this is, I think, just getting comfortable being on a new team, not trying to do too much, but I think he's really gone about the process of getting his stroke back pretty smart. He started hitting the ball the other way with success. Now it seems like he's kind of got the whole field working for him and starting to hit the ball with authority.
0-2. Rich Donnelly takes care of that foul ball. Trumbo's taking his batting average from 139 to 228. Trumbo 2 for 3, 2 runs batted in last night. Behind 0-2. Crowding for ball 1.
Early on when he first got here, I mean, it was just a freeway of outs on the outside half of the plate. And Edgar Martinez, I talked to him this morning, they worked hard, set up the tee on the outside corner, worked on trying to get the bat staying in the zone longer inside. He started to get more comfortable with it. We saw him hit the ball the other way. Now he seems to be on a really nice roll.
He's got power to all fields, too. 1-2 from Henny. Inside. Ball 2.
Doubled up fastball in. You kind of start sniffing a changeup perhaps here. Double up fastball in, but off the plate. There is the maestro right there, Mr. Martinez. Wow. What a gift to have him as your hitting coach.
A lot of knowledge. 2-2 pitch with Seager at second. Where he was about a week and change ago, flailing at that pitch outside. That's breakout number 1.
I needed the helmet cam there to tell him the changeup was coming, Dave. We talked about double up fastball off the plate. What does that do? Trying to just set the hook for the changeup, and he did. Great pitch.
1 out, 1 on brings up Jesus Montero. Montero in his 3rd game since being recalled from Tacoma is 1 for 5. Ball 1 to Jesus.
Jesus has really transformed his body. And he's had a tremendous first half. It's been documented since he's been up, but he looks a lot different. He's standing more straight up at the plate, and
hands are higher too.
And maybe that's allowing him to have better plate coverage. I don't know.
Picked up an RBI with a bases loaded walk last night's game. 1-0 pitch. He worked his way back from Tacoma with these numbers, Bill. They're pretty doggone good.
Yeah, those are eye-popping numbers. I don't care what league you're in. And he led the PCL in hits, runs, total bases, and RBIs. That's pretty much owned the league.
Center fielder Trout a few steps towards right center for Montero. Haney ready with the 1-1 pitch. Ball 2.
Since he's been up, the Angels have tested him with a lot of off-speed stuff, but here's a kid, 70% fastball, 2-1 count. Maybe Montero finally gets something to his liking.
The 2-1 pitch. Throw down to second. Back with the dive safely as Seager. So Montero's got a 3-1 count. Logan Morrison's on deck for the Mariners.
Certainly an open base with a left-hander on deck, but it's early in the ball game. I don't think you, if you're pitching this game, are messing around with that thought. You got to go right at Montero.
See if Montero can deliver. Mariners down 2-0 here in the second. 3-1 pitch. Oh, he's angry with himself for just fouling that one back.
High changeup. He was right on it. There you see EQC. The mixture of pitches, 81-mile-an-hour changeup on the corner by Haney. Throw it on 3-1, throw it on 3-2.
There we go. Payoff to Montero. And he takes it for ball 4. So the Mariners have 1 out. 2-men aboard for Logan Morrison.
That was a fine at bat by Montero.
Reminiscent of his AB last night in the second inning with the bases loaded. Very disciplined.
Yeah.
Here's Logan Morrison. He entered the game last night in the 6th inning, replacing Montero at first base. An RBI single in the 7th. Morrison, a 176 hitter against left-hand pitching. No homers and 3 runs batted in.
But you can see how the power numbers keep going up. He got 11 homers in 100 games last year. So he's already got his 12th home run. So I like that.
Absolutely. 1-0. Morrison's best year home run wise back in 11 with the Marlins. He had 23 home runs, 72 runs batted in 123 games.
That's 23 that are pretty legit. That's a big ballpark.
Two on, 1 out. Almost taking a long walk. With another pitch. He like Jesus Montero. That's a pitch he normally handles.
Fastball right down the middle. As you can see, you can't center the tracer any better than that. So he's kicking himself a little bit. Just have to remind yourself against the left-hander, front shoulders stay in, stay up the middle of the field.
Good opportunity here for the Mariners. Down 2-0. Couple of men aboard with 1 out. 1-1 to Lomo. He did go as they check with Doug Eddings. Ball and 2 strikes.
Pretty good slider there from Haney. Pitch that they've had to spend a lot of time, he and Mike Butcher, working on his breaking ball, trying to tighten it up a little bit. And, that was a good one.
Coming into today's game, lefties are hitting 6 for 30 against Heaney. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Outside. Seager's going to take off. And Montero follows. So runners at second and third. A base hit will tie it up.
Heaney trying to throw the chase breaking ball. Slider off the plate. Iannetta goes out for the block and does his job, but just a unfortunate ricochet off his chest, and the Mariners get 2 guys in scoring position.
Two and 2 to Morrison. Runners at second and third. Pitch. Struck him out. Iannetta will throw down to Pujols. Completed. K2-3, 2 outs.
And he went right back with the slider. Good confidence, and Iannetta able to block that one. Nasty breaking ball to get Logan.
Two outs. They'll leave it up to Mike Zunino. Mike looking to break an 0 for 7. Mariners had success with some 2-out knocks last evening. Way out front. They got a 2-out RBI in the third last night. That was from Mark Trumbo. And then Trumbo and Morrison came up big with 2 outs in the 7th inning, driving in runs. Mike's behind 0-2.
Couple of changeups away, as you can see on the EQC tracer. Well located by Heaney. Mike a little bit better timing on the second one. Again, the challenge, taking what he and Edgar Martinez have been working on away from the field into the game, trying to stay up the middle of the field and to right center.
0-2 to Mike Z. And struck him out, and that'll do it. That threat dies with runners left at second and third. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 2 left. 2-0 Eagles. Being brought to you by Silver Reef Hotel Casino Spa. I-5, exit 260, Ferndale, Washington. By BNSF Railway, sponsor the BNSF Blast. And by Clearwater Resort. So many reasons to come out and play. Beautiful afternoon. Safe go field. True to the blue, you bet. Angels lead it 2-0. Mariners a 2-1 lead in this series. And trying to go to the All-Star break on a big up note Houston's already lost 6 consecutive defeats by the Astros. Cole Calhoun looks at ball 1.
Taijuan threw him all off-speed stuff. His last at bat got him to roll over to second. Started him with the changeup this time around.
Pretty good heater at 93, 1-1.
Fastball changeup combo. He does that very, very well. And he has done an outstanding job of staying away, especially to left-handers.
Calhoun made one of the best throws we've seen from an outfielder this season. And game number 1, throwing at Cano at the plate in the first inning.
Yeah, he's a complete player. Runs the bases well and has become a threat for the Angels as they've sort of gone through changes in their makeup.
He's got 4 stolen bases, got 10 home runs. Swing and a miss, struck him out. Taijuan Walker, his 3rd strikeout of the afternoon.
Couple of changeups, and then as we watch the Alaska Supermo, watch this young man create a ton of leverage. We're taking a look at the changeup right there. Split finger grip, lots of arm speed, and he just kills it at the end.
8-pitch at bat for Trout last time. He singled to right. For 1. Pujols on deck. He's had a good series. You look at the American leaderboard offensively. You know how I like to use my highlighters? I got a lot of red with Trout underneath it. It is remarkable. Tied with Pujols for the team lead. Here's a Trout hat for you. Big in SoCal. Leads in total bases. 2nd in runs. 1st in slugging. 2nd in extra base hits.
Well, Dave, you're old enough to have seen Mickey Mantle.
Absolutely. Not in
there's
person, but on TV.
A lot of comparisons.
Yeah. And Trout's aboard. That would have been a tough play either way because Trout could fly down that line. And for Mike Trout, that's a base hit. Albert Pujols coming up next. And Tuesday, or actually it's going to be Monday in the Home Run Derby. A little different format. Got brackets like we see in March for hoops. Timed rounds, and I like that. Tighten it up a little bit. Pujols and Chris Bryant, Jock Peterson and Manny Machado, Josh Donaldson and Anthony Rizzo, and Todd Frazier and Prince Field. Good group. Now hit. Real tape measure jobs. You get a little extra time.
So you need a good pitcher that throws strikes because you can't stand up there and take. Right?
Yeah, they take that away from before. It was like swing at 1, take 3, get a rhythm, and then wail on the next one. It's like, hey, while we're young. Glad they changed that format. Taijuan ahead 0-2. Albert fouled out to Seager to end the first inning.
Taijuan is showing us that he's got a pretty good move to first base. We saw it in the pickoff in his last start. Quick feet for a big guy.
Yes, sir. That basketball background coming in handy. 0-2. Outside for ball 1. Took a lot of pride down in Houston because he was going to have to. He knew he had an upcoming series at the Giants. He'd get a chance to swing the bat. He had to hit one out in Houston. And he did during BP. A little punch shot. It's going to hang up in the air. Jackson runs it down. Trout went halfway and gets back. They fooled Albert on that one 2-down with a man aboard. Rick Ibar coming up. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Seattle Mariners and may not be reproduced or transmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Seattle Mariners. Boy, did we have a great crowd last night. Nelson Cruz bobblehead night, 40,765. And it looks like we're going to be 35 plus again here tonight or this afternoon. Ibar looks at ball one. He singled to center first time. Last night was the 7th largest crowd of the season. Eric Ibar.
I mean, there just can't be a nicer place to see a ball game.
Oh,
we have so little humidity here.
Right.
And the sun is out. It's just absolutely comfortable. And of course, there aren't any better sight lines than what Safeco Field has to offer.
Born and raised on the East Coast, Bill, I can tell you, on July 12, it's nice to sit here at a ball game and not have a stack of towels at the ready because of the high humidity.
I'm from the Midwest, Dave.
And you can attest to it as well.
Windless, and you feel that little wheeze when you breathe in.
Yep, I'm familiar with that one too.
And I think part of that is the bug spray. That's probably why the
Good
wheeze,
call.
right?
Good call.
Play baseball. You got to have some. You got to have tolerance to mosquito spray, right?
Matter of fact, that's
Agent
a great
Orange.
call. That's right. You're dating us both with that reference.
We didn't know any better though. We just jumped in there, took the bug spray. Dave, I don't know what the chemicals were, but that machine came around the field. We didn't know any better than to just say, it kind of smells bad, but it'll help.
Yeah, take a deep breath. That's off the fist. That's trouble to fair ball. If the fans leave it alone, they do. They'll stop Trout at third. The throw gets away. Here comes Trout. Throw to the plate. Not in time. He's in safely. Ibar. Here comes Ibar. Another throw to the plate. Zunino with the tag. Got him.
Oh.
We'll sort things out when we come back. And Mike Scioscia probably wants to take a look at that. Everybody staying on the field. So the throw coming in from Trumbo, not a good one.
Boy, Ibar has been a major pain for people of late.
He's just a good player. We're going to take a look at it.
It looks like they clipped him right there.
Yeah, they just got him. It's a heck of a grab by Zunino. That's close. Home plate umpire is Andy Fletcher. They'll take a break and come back. Angels have a 3-0 lead. Inning started by Eric Ibar.
Well, he's a pest there. Inside out swing and just chalks one down in the corner. Trumbo runs it down. Mike Trout, great speed, but he's going to hold, but then, wow, right in the lumberyard. Taiwan chases it down, makes the quick throw. That ball almost goes to the outfield, but a great play by Cano, and of course, Zunino to get the tag down on Ibar.
Game of inches, you betcha.
Here the Alaska Airlines Supermo. You see the inside-out swing by Ibar. Draws some chalk, and the Angels tally again.
Look where the ball lands. As third base umpire Doug Eddings got a good look at it. And millimeters right there. Zunino just got a piece. This base hit up the middle by Brad Miller on a 1-0 pitch, leading off the Mariners' third. Brad's been swinging the bat well lately as we take a look at our Columbia Bank difference in the game. And Bill Heaney did a heck of a job to get out of trouble last time.
Yeah, great escape. Two guys on. He gets both Morrison and Zunino and Trumbo. Strikes out the side. Young man showing a lot of mettle. He's more or less the Angels' version of Mike Montgomery.
See if the Mariners can get to him. That hit by Miller was the second Mariner base hit today. Double by Seager in the second. Second time through now for Austin Jackson. Grounded out to shortstop.
Mariners should have a little better idea what Heaney's repertoire looks like. Good fastball on both sides. Change up, occasional slider.
High fly ball, left center field. Trout taking charge. There's one out. I'll bring up Robinson Cano. Good to see Brad Miller swing the bat well. He's aboard at first for Cano. He grounded out to third. Infielded double play depth. Bobby takes pitch outside, ball one.
Pretty scary moment last night
They got
for Robbie and everybody, including the C.J. Wilson. That ball was looked like it was going to center his helmet. I don't know if it caught his shoulder or not, but it did scare us all for a moment.
Outside again. Two and oh. And right to Albert. Double play. You can't hit it any harder. And he throws it to Cano, his good buddy. 3-0 Angels. Man, did he hit that ball hard. We bring you our Geico This Date in MLB history. Let's take you back to the disco days, everybody. July 12 of '79, Chicago DJ Steve Dahl. They had a big promotion between games of a doubleheader, and the Sox were forced to forfeit the second game of the DH when more than 5,000 fans refused to leave the field after disco demolition night. They had pyrotechnics and everything. What a great piece of video. That was at Old Comiskey Park. Man, oh man. Bill, I'm sure you have some memories from those days.
Oh, yeah, I was right there at that one.
Is that right? Wow. Yeah, who were you with at that time?
No, I wasn't quite there yet. I was still in college.
Okay.
But Comiskey Park, I'm sure that didn't really change the character of that place. That was, by the time I got to Comiskey Park as a player, that was pretty run down.
That made national news that it was disco music was really huge, and there was a lot of backlash, and that's what that was all about. It's Freese was behind 1 and 2. David Freese, C.J. Crone, and Matt Joyce here in the fourth. Mariners have committed 2 errors here today. Taiwan has 3 strikeouts, hasn't walked anybody, giving up 3 runs on 5 hits. Two. Swing and a miss over. Matched him right there. Freeze it double. It's a left field, a ground rule double in the second inning. That's strikeout number 4 for Taiwan.
Take a look at the EQC tracer, talking about top shelf pitching, the art of it. Taiwan Walker going up and in. And you're just not going to get to 95, 96 miles an hour with this guy if you're chasing that. You're just not going to get it.
You know, earlier in the year, that Taiwan had the great spring, and then comes out, and Lloyd and Rick Waits are talking about, young man, we need you to compete. Man, has he gotten it since then as Cano stops and fires and records out number 2. You got to love the way, just the look in his eye, how he throws the fastball, where he throws the fastball, when he throws the fastball.
He's pitching with a plan. He's pitching with belief and conviction. But all the little things have come together. He understands the routine of being a starter and why all these things matter. What you're doing between starts. How is your bullpen being managed? What are you trying to work on? How about the game plan? How about looking at some video? All of these things the young man is now understanding are a big part of being a successful big league pitcher.
Getting it done. And the other thing, too, you as a pitcher, you know, you've heard from guys who are friends of yours or hitters, and you've heard this and you've seen it. 98's not easy to hit.
Oh, no.
Foul ball.
You know, the exciting thing is the possibilities. Because he's already got great command. He's got a great arm. He's got a good feel for the fastball changeup combination. Now, if he can get a handle on his curveball, and it's not like he has to have it today, but once he has that, he's going to be tough. Because that's what he needed against Detroit.
Sure.
He needed another pitch, and they exposed him a little bit, but that's one time. The rest of the league is scratching their head.
2-2 to Matt Joyce. Reached on a Cano error back in the second, drove in a run. 2-2 pitch. Well, Chopper Zunino's got it. Throws to Lomo and a nice 1-2-3 crisply pitched 4th inning by Taiwan Walker. Getting some runs. You'll have Cruz, Seager, and Trumbo coming up. Time now for our CenturyLink. What's next? All-Star break coming up. National League leads the series 43-40-2, and the first one played back in July 6th in Chicago, 1933. Sports writer Arch Ward came up with an idea to raise money for charity, and it is a major part of summer happenings, and a big part of Major League Baseball. And the league that wins determines who has home field advantage in a World Series. That's the only part. That's about the only thing I don't like about the All-Star game.
Unfortunately, they ran out of players back in 2002, was it?
I think that, I don't remember
in
the
Milwaukee,
year, but yeah.
And that was sort of the answer to that problem.
Yeah, they need. I think, for my money, they need to get off of that.
Yes.
Other than that, I think everything's terrific. There's Cruz, rounded out to short. Is it enough? Nope. Boy, hit that a long way for hitting it off his hands.
Pretty scary when you jam a guy and he about leaves the ballpark. Fastball in, and you can see Nelson's body language there. He dropped his head, and sure enough, just a fuzz short.
Had that been on the barrel, we're probably looking at upper tank. Seager extended his hitting streak to 6 games with a double to right center. Hit it off the bottom third of the fence out there. Mariners had a great opportunity to score in the second inning. Had runners at second and third with 1 out. Couldn't get them in. Strikeouts by Morrison and Zunino.
He's got a pretty good feel for pitching, in and out with the fastball, above average, and has shown us 2 complimentary off-speed pitches as well.
Strike 2 to Kyle. First time Mariners are seeing young Andrew Heaney. 2-0 with a 1.77 ERA in 3 starts. Came up the Marlins organization. Barely a cup of coffee with the Dodgers, and then retained by the Angels. How about Kyle Seager? 2 for 2 day. He is 10 for his last 21. One out base runner for the Mariners here in the 4th. And don't forget to stick around after the game for Mariners postgame presented by Delta Airlines. All right, Bill, what did Mark Trumbo learn from his first at bat against Heaney on a 2-2 pitch?
Well, the guy's got a good arm, and he did a pretty good job of pitching Trumbo. He pushed the fastball in off the plate twice to set the hook, and then threw him the changeup away. That's just good pitching.
Want to know to Mark? He can extend his hitting streak to 8 games.
How about Kyle Seager? 322 now against left-handed pitching, number 1 in the American League.
Outstanding.
Among lefty batters, excuse me, I did. That was presumptive, but it needs to be brought up.
Well, he has really been swinging the bat well here. 10 for his last 21, a 6-game hitting streak. Trout has this one in his sights. There's a throw to first. Trout can go get it. He doesn't have the biggest arm. Calhoun's got the best arm out there in that Angels outfield. 2-away here in the 4th. Slug your way to the Home Run Derby crown and master the free award-winning game millions are playing. Download MLB.com Home Run Derby free from the App Store and Google Play. Jesus Montero, the hitter, walked in a 3-2 pitch back in the 2nd. Franklin Gutierrez was supposed to start today, was in the original starting lineup, but his back tagged up and they had to pull him. This one popped up. Out of play. Earlier today in St. Petersburg, Florida, Cody Rasmus was hitting the first time. He popped the ball up third base side. You know, with all those girders and everything. Third baseman Longoria gets under it. Ball never came down. Then later on, Gaddis was up for Houston, popped one up down the first baseline, and the ball bounced up. This one hit hard. Oh, played well by Ibar. And again, Ibar does something to hurt the Mariners. It never fails. Every time we play the Angels, that kid can play. 3-0 Angels. We focus in on Taijuan Walker. He's been sensational since May 29. His last 8 starts, 6-1 with a 2.32 ERA. You gotta love his attitude, Bill.
Terrific change of course, and a real good feel for pitching for a young guy with that fastball changeup combo, and the command has been exceptional.
Chris Iannetta swings through, strike one. Iannetta, Giavotella, and Cole Calhoun. 9-1-2 here in the 5th inning. Dave Sims, Bill Kruger with us here on this Sunday afternoon. Final game of the first half. We'll be back with you on the air Friday from New York City. We have 3-game set with the Yankees and then off to Detroit. Face those mashers for 4 games. And a quick disposal of Iannetta. That's strikeout number 5. Take a look at the Mariners calendar, brought to you by Sleep Country USA. The aforementioned Yankee and Detroit series. Next time we're home will be the highest scoring team in baseball, the Toronto Blue Jays. Diamondbacks having a nice year. Only 6.5 off the pace. They moved up from last place. And then we'll go to Minnesota. Minnesota playing some good ball. 2nd place in the Central, American League Central. They've had a heck of a year.
My old teammate Paul Mulder, who I will tell you was the smartest player I ever played with, so it's no surprise that he's doing a good job of managing the Twins.
As I remember, they took 2 out of 3 in their visit here, end of April. Giavotella right to Brad Miller, and a line drive strike, 2 down.
Giavotella hit it right on the nose, but that guy's been standing out there for about 160 years, Dave. Right there. Here we see Giavotella just gets the cutter and hits it right on the button. Brad Miller, who's playing really well since he reclaimed shortstop, if I can say that. His hitting's been nice, but his defense has been much improved.
Lloyd was complimenting him today. Chris Woodward's done a great job working with him. So eventually he's going to turn the corner, become a fine shortstop. By the way, a short of time one, he's got 6 strikeouts.
Andy Fletcher missed that curveball. Let's go. We want this kid to throw that curveball. He threw it for a strike right there.
Running heat there, 93.
See right there, 74, 5, whatever the speed was on that curveball. Look how big that fastball played right behind it. Blew it right by Calhoun. That's why he needs it.
Chopper goes foul. Alfredo Griffin fields nicely.
And we've watched Felix Hernandez the last couple of years, Dave. The curveball, that big separator that he's now throwing a lot, has really made his fastball changeup strength play even better. And Taiwan, if he could follow that suit, would really benefit.
2 out, nobody on a 1-2 pitch. Strike 3 called. Calhoun knew it. Strikeout number 7. Taiwan Walker has retired the last 6 men that he's faced. He trails 3-0.
Sports Desk. It is time for hashtag Where I Root. Let's see where some of the M's fans are today. Gorgeous afternoon in Seattle, no doubt about that. Joy Clark here at the ball game today. Tracy Mayer. Wow, nice job traveling, Tracy. 200 miles, made it to Safeco on time. Hope you enjoy your time at the ballpark. Oh, and the Merkel family, baby Julia's first game here at the ballpark as we send it back to Dave and Mike. Guys.
All right, Tom. Good to have you with us. Tom Glasgow here as we play in the bottom of the 5th inning. Bill Kruger, how about some runs here?
I think that is the play.
Soft speed pitches. Andrew Haney been effective today.
A lot of breaking balls right now to Morrison. That ate him up the last time up. 2 breaking balls, sliders to start this at bat.
Cuomo, Mike Zunino, and Brad Miller here in the 5th inning. Up the middle. Giavitella, backhand, and he gets him. 1 away. Let's take a look at our Delta Airlines keep climbing standings. Look at that, a tie as the Astros are behind the Angels now. They have 2 more losses as Houston loses 4-3 this afternoon to Tampa Bay Rangers. They've fallen under 500. The Mariners are trying to trend upwards, 6.5 off the pace.
Sort of like when you're driving past a field of sheep. You just yell bunch. And that's exactly what's going on. Houston have come back to earth, leading the world in strikeouts, lose one key player, and it doesn't always work. 6 in a row, isn't that correct?
Correct. Zanino. Early hole here, 0-2.
I mean, the Astros are for real, but
for long haul.
This is a stroke of reality, at least for the short term.
Springer's out for another 3-4 weeks. Is it Springer that's out? Yeah.
Yes.
1-2. Over in the National League, the New York Mets don't hit much, but their pitching's really good. Kirk Neuenhuis, who played for the Angels earlier this season, he had 3 home runs. Mets win today. First Mets player to have 3 homers in a game. A lot of young arms over there for New York.
Syndergaard, have you seen some highlights of him? He's upper 90s. DeGrom, we saw him.
Yeah, we saw him here last year. Impressive. First Mets player to have 3 home runs in a game at home. And Mike Z strikes out second time today. It's strikeout number 100 on the season. 2 down here in the 5th. Join us for a memorable afternoon as we honor Jamie Moyer and induct him into the Mariners Hall of Fame. It all takes place Saturday, August 8th, right here at Safeco Field. Better get here early. Enjoy a special pregame ceremony. It all starts at 12:30. Visit Mariners.com for tickets. That is the sound of Seattle. Listen to that train. Up the middle, Brad Miller. Another base hit for Brad to center field. 2 for 2 day.
Talk about staying short to the baseball. Brad Miller hit the fastball the first time up. He gets that front foot down, but stays inside the ball to hit this breaking ball off of Haney up the middle for a base hit. And one thing I've noticed about Brad Miller, when he started turning the corner offensively, he started hitting the ball to left field, and now is spraying the ball all over the ballpark, and he's still leading all shortstops and home runs in the American League.
Let's see if Austin Jackson can get a breakout moment here. He's 0 for his last 11. And a grand slam earlier in the homestand against Detroit, his old team. There's a 6-5 record here in the month of July. They've alternated wins and losses. Outscored the opposition. They got a +13 run differential coming into today's game in those 11 contests.
EQC Tracer showing that changeup right on the outside corner by Haney. He's done a good job of not being predictable. He's thrown off-speed pitches behind in the count.
Brad back. 2-1 to Jackson. Cano's on deck. Angels get 2 runs in the second inning. Cano error and a wild pitch. And then another error, throwing error by Trumbo, allows Trout to score. And past it, diving David Freese. There's Jackson breaking that 0 for 11. 2 men aboard with 2 outs here in the 5th.
See Austin pulling those hands in to get to that inside fastball, and nothing like good aim in baseball. Doesn't matter how hard you hit it. If you got good aim, you got a good chance. Shoots that ball right in the hole. Great effort by David Freese, who's played some pretty stellar third base so far this season, and certainly against the Mariners. As you see the Alaska Airlines Supermo breaking it down for you.
Cano hit a ball about as hard as you can possibly hit it, but he hit it right at his buddy Albert Pujols at first base, and they were able to double up Brad Miller. That ended the third. did go as they checked with Doug Edding, strike one.
It'd be nice to see Robbie do something big here. Maybe go deep and then do some kind of payback with both Pujols. Ibar. Because remember, last night, Ibar's giving him the finger test. And he's at second base.
Robbie got hit in the head last night by a pitch and eventually wound up at second base. And Ibar's giving him the business, holding up fingers. And then Ibar got drilled later on, and Robbie gave it back to him. These guys have a lot of fun before the game when these two teams get together, especially that first game of the series. A lot of old friends getting back together. Seriously, how many lip readers do we have in baseball? Everybody's covering up.
It's the ghost of Frank Robinson. You know, he used to turn the TVs off in the visiting clubhouse. That's how hard he competed. Does that surprise you?
Wow.
When he was managing Baltimore? No TVs.
Wow.
How about that?
0-1 to Robbie Cano. Is that off-speed pitch again?
And yes, folks, they were TVs, not monitors.
Hey, Frank Robinson, you want to talk in the category of being fierce competitors.
Ooh.
Frank's right there. One of the all-timers.
Stood on top of the dish. And man, if you hit him, watch out the next time up, right?
You got that right. Drysdale found that out in the '66 World Series.
What a great player, Frank Robinson. MVP in both leagues.
0-2 to Cano. Did he hold? He did. Opportunity here. One swing could tie it up.
Testing him with the breaking ball here after that line drive he hit at Pujols on the fastball last time up.
San Diego leading Texas 2-0. That's bottom 7. 1-2. All outside. How about this slugfest? Top 9 at Kansas City. Royals 11, Toronto 10.
Good offensive teams. If you're playing Toronto, man, you better not quit. You got to keep scoring against those guys. Wow.
They're scoring just under 5.5 runs a game, best in the majors. Blue Jays. Here's a 2-2 to Cano. 2 men aboard and 2 out. Inning started with Morrison grounding out the second. Zunino struck out. Miller a base hit the center, and Jackson a base hit the left.
There you see the spray chart for Robinson Cano. A lot more hits to right field. Last year he had a lot more hits to left field, wouldn't you say, Dave?
Yes. Big spot right here. 3-0 Angel lead. 2-2 pitch. Full count.
That was a good take right there. Seeing the ball well. He's seen about all that Haney has to offer.
Cruz on deck.
And we'll see what the young man's all about here. He's got the best, the most dangerous right-hand hitter against left-handed pitching on deck. So I would think you're going to see a little challenge here.
Crowd anticipating a big moment here. Good crowd on hand, 30,000 plus easily. Long look by Haney. He comes set. Runners are going to take off. 3-2 to Robbie. Swing and a miss. He got him. 5th strikeout for Haney. Mariners strand 2, 3-0 Angels. Sports, being brought to you by Jack in the Box. If the Mariners win, mention Mariners for a free Jumbo Jack purchase tomorrow at Jack in the Box. By CenturyLink, your link to what's next. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more in car insurance. And by Money Tree, proud to make a donation to Mariners Care for every Mariners win. Beautiful day at Dungeness Spit out near Squim. Absolutely beautiful. And we've got wonderful conditions here at Safeco Field. Dave Sampson, Bill Kruger, as Mike Trout leads off against Taijuan Walker. Taijuan struck out 7 and gets that one by Trout at 94.
Boy, after the 3rd inning, Taijuan has said enough, hasn't he? Well, he's just mowed him down 6 in a row with 3 strikeouts ahead of Mike Trout here. How about a little top shelf here?
Crowded and missed 1 and 2.
That was trying to be cute right there. That's not my choice there. Trying to go inside door with the cutter. There you go. A little higher.
96, 1 and 2. Trout, Pujols, and Ibar 3, 4, and 5. Here in the 5th, Mariners stranded 5 men today. Angels 2. Oh, that hit him. That's not good. That's a fastball at 95. I feel like that takes me when as a former catcher, and I still have that empathy when a guy gets hit like that and it gets close, and I still react like I did years ago. Jeez.
Well, when you got the count in your favor here, it's tough. I mean, it's important to pitch inside, and I really don't find any fault in this. But now you put an elite base runner on with the meat of the order coming up. Certainly not what you wanted to do.
Co-leader in home runs coming up here at Albert Pujols.
But I'll tell you something. Messages are sent. We watched Iwakuma last night undress Albert Pujols, and then it was all over for Pujols, and Iwakuma owned him the rest of the way. So there's an importance in pitching inside, and sometimes that happens.
Albert gets on top of one. Tomahawks at the center field. There's 2 men aboard.
Cut fastball on the inner half from Taijuan. I'm going to tell you, Dave, not a big fan of this cut fastball stuff. When you got 96 and a great changeup, you just speed everybody up with that pitch. So I guess now you know how I feel about it.
And I've been watching a lot, and I totally get what you're talking about. And I think
it's a slow fastball.
Folks at home.
Well, yeah, that's sort of the poster child.
Bunt goes foul. Ibar can do a lot of things here. He's got first and second, nobody out. We've seen it too many times over the years. He can show bunt, slap one. If you throw a pitch in the right spot, he can hurt you into a gap.
Now, I was a pretty good fielder, not quite the athlete that Taijuan is, but I would tell the third baseman, just stay there because I'll get it. And I'd love the opportunity to try to get to the ball and throw the guy out at third base. Now, you got an elite runner, so that's going to be pretty tough.
Taijuan. Oh, and he threw it away. Trout's going to score.
Too fast a runner.
Pujols to third. Ibar goes all the way to second. It's a third Mariner error today.
Well, you saw how quick he got to the baseball.
Right.
And it would have taken just an incredible quick throw to get him, and it just tried to bite off more than he could chew. You get down 3-0. You're trying to get the out here, trying to get the lead runner. Taijuan quick to the baseball, quick release, but just trying to be too quick.
Sacrifice. Fielder's choice. E1 on the throw. A run in. Pop-up slide there by Trout. Had the play in front of him. He scores easily.
Well, Mariner defense, #2 in the American League, and probably #1 since the first month.
Yeah, Mike and I were just
bragging. Not that club today.
Yeah, Mike and I were bragging about that the last couple of nights. 3 errors. Going to make a change out of the hand-operated scoreboard. Pujols the third.
There you see it. First three-game error, or three-error game since the 2nd of May.
Hit hard. Foul ball.
You take away the errors, this is a 0-0 game, I think.
Yep. Swing and a miss by Freese, 0-2.
Second and third, nobody out. This is a time for a strikeout. You're pitching for a strikeout here. So I think top shelf fastball.
Off the fist. Fouled back.
Even though he fouled that ball off, I'm still thinking fastball up. I just got to go a little higher.
There's your third error being posted. 0-2. Blocked by Zunino. 1-2. Second inning, an E4 scores Ibar. A wild pitch scores Freese. Third inning, an E7 on Trumbo scores a run. And now an E1 here in the 6th scores Trout. And that's going to pick up a run. This ball's hitting a ton. Off the top of the fence by Freese. Pujols and Ibar saunter home. It's a 6-0 lead. That ball pummeled out there by David Freese. His 16th, make that his 17th double, second today. And RBI's 38 and 39, and Lloyd's going to come out and get Taiwan.
Tried to go up the ladder, didn't get it there, and David Freese leans on one that almost leaves the ballpark. Here you see Alaska Airlines Super Mole. That ball is center cut. Freese looking out over the plate. Got a lot of power. You see it hit the top line. Oh, inches from being a home run.
Man, oh man. Those are first runs driven in by a hit. Taiwan chased 6-0. Defense let him down today, and then he just gave up a big 2-run double.
Boy, I'll tell you, when line scores lie, there's a line score. 5 innings, he gives up 5 earned runs, and really, honestly, it could have been 0. Taiwan threw a ton of strikes. He participated in the bad defense with the errant throw, trying to get Trout going to third on the bunt, but lessons that you learn along the way. Here we see the new pitcher for the Mariners, David Rollins. Was terrific in spring training. Of course, had the PED suspension, but since his return has shown us a big arm. And you see the numbers, not so good, but his last time out, Dave, he threw the ball very well.
And I really like the way he bounced back. So look at C.J. Cron.
Yeah, he showed us 96 in that last time out against Detroit.
Two 2-0. Cron today struck out and grounded out the second. Six nothing Angel lead. It's a corner for a strike. David Freese, runner at second. A little string on him. 2-2.
Great changeup there by Rollins after a 94-mile-an-hour fastball away. Excellent changeup. A breaking ball, I think probably his third best pitch.
Hit the other way. Base hit. Cruz hit the cutoff man. Freeze is held at third. Angels continue on here in the sixth. 2 runs in, make that 3 runs in, and runners at the corners. And still nobody out. Brings up pinch hitter Daniel Robertson. Take the lefty Matt Joyce out. Robertson pinch hit.
You surely can't hand outs to an Angels team that's been swinging the bat so well. You know, look at this last 8-game road trip. 55 runs. That's almost 7 a game.
Farquhar warming up. Robertson a .293 hitter, no homers, and 2 runs batted in. 2 for 4 as a pinch hitter with an RBI. That's a Baltimore chop. My goodness. The hang time on that. They get the out, they do. Run scores. Robertson, hitter's choice RBI. They do get the force at second on Cron. Talk about
seeing the Alaska Airlines Supermo here. You see it at the plate. That's what's going to cause that thing to rebound so high, which it did.
So Robertson drives in a run, his 3rd of the year. 7-0 Angels. Chris Iannetta, 1 out, runner at first. Chris, the 7th man to the plate here in the 6th inning. Ball 2. I mentioned 30,000 plus. That's indeed what we have here. 36,955. High fly ball, deep left field. Trumbo going back and watching it leave. A 2-run shot by Chris Iannetta. His 5th home run, and this is now a blowout. Chris Iannetta with RBIs 18 and 19. 9-0 Angels. 6-run 6th. Seattle City Light power play. Pitch right here, and he gets all of it.
Center cut fastball from Rollins in the mid-90s, and Iannetta showing you some rare power right there. The 3-run homer.
Jackson coming in, won't be able to get this dunker. It's off the bat of Giavotella. And inning continues. This will be the 9th man to the plate.
Taking a look at the Alaska Airlines Super Mo. Quality swing by Ionetta as he lines that baby up, and boy, ball leaving the ballpark. Wrong team.
6 runs here in the 6th inning, and there's still only 1 out. We got Cole Calhoun coming up.
Not to excuse Rollins in any way, because you have to get big league hitters out, left-handed or right-handed, but obviously right now when you look at this Angels team, a predominantly right-hand hitting team. Taijuan Walker leaves the ball game. Granted, it's 6-0, but this is really not a spot for a left-handed pitcher. But the Mariners are grown weary from the right side.
Yes.
Guys are getting used and used and used. Can't go to Mark Lowe every day.
One to Calhoun, 9th man to the plate here in the 6th inning. Two and one. Inning started with Trout getting hit by a pitch, single Pujols. Sacrifice by Ibar, throwing error, run scores, 2-run double. Base hit, fielder's choice RBI, and a 2-run homer.
See Taijuan, he'll have a little bit to think about after this ball game is over.
I'll say.
And not all of his own doing, but of course he's going to punish himself for every little thing he did wrong. But you just got to turn the page and figure out what to do positively to make it better.
Rollins 3-2 now. Trout's on deck. Inside, wasn't close. Batted around. Here comes Trout for the 2nd time. Lloyd's going to come out and relieve David Rollins. He's been ineffective here today. Andy Farquhar takes over. 10th man to the plate here in the 6th inning. Huge inning for the Angels, who lead at 9-0. Day right here at Safeco Field. Mariners will be taking on the high-scoring Blue Jays, and thanks to Topps, all youngsters take home a poster of the Gold Glover plus a baseball card set featuring your favorite major leaguers. Tickets available right now, Mariners.com. Right now, the Mariners in the midst of a nightmarish sixth. 10th man coming to the plate, Mike Trout. 6 runs on 5 hits and an error, and there's 2 men aboard right now for Danny Farquhar, who takes over.
His first couple of years with the Mariners, Farquhar was brilliant. This year, not so much. Really having trouble with the long ball. And confidence, I think, more than anything else.
His cutter's got him in trouble. Ball 1 to Mike Trout. Popped it up. Jackson for the catch and the out. Out number 2. Brings up Albert Pujols. Albert 1 for 3 today. He's 3 for 7 against Danny Farquhar.
I was reading the notes, Dave, in the month of June when he hit 13 home runs. In 99 at-bats, he struck out 8 times.
There you go.
Impressive power, no strikeout combo.
Joe DiMaggio kind of numbers.
Yes. It's a rare feat. Going to become even more rare as we move along because the strikeout, not striking out, is just not a priority in today's game.
Right. One to Pujols. Couple of men aboard, 2 outs. Back up. Boy, that looked like it went. Oh, it ricocheted off. Not too far from Angels radio booth. Victor Rojas and Mark Dubas.
Good fastball away by Farquhar, 94 miles an hour. Let's see that good curveball here.
1-2.
That's a good curveball. I like the last 2 pitches. 94 away, really good curveball, very defensive swing.
Oakland wins at Cleveland 2-0. Yankees beat Boston, taking that series 2 out of 3. 8-6 final. Minnesota 7-1 over Detroit final. Down low. 2-2. Pujols the 11th man to the plate here in the 6th inning. Pujols steps out. Two pitch. Popped up. And no play for Zunino. Grabbed out his glove, made the easy catch. Cutie, Cano fan. This one's playable. Who's going to take charge? Seager. Make that Miller. And that'll do it. Oh, the carnage. 11 men to the plate. 6 runs, 5 hits, an error, 2 left. A nice form catch, 2 hands by that gentleman. Love his hairstyle. 9-0 Angels. To get off this win-loss parade they've been on since the month of July started. As the Angels just spent 11 minutes at the plate, 6 runs, 5 hits, an error, 2 left. What better way to start it than to have Nelson Cruz lead off here in the 6th. Valley with a 3-game hitting streak, 0 for 2 today. Ground out to short and fly out to left.
Just missed hitting a home run his last time up.
And he's going to be looking to throw a lot of strikes here with the big lead. Cruz, Seager, and Trumbo 3, 4, and 5 for the Mariners. This young man struck out 5, walked 1. Oh, 2. Strike 3 called. High into the zone. Home plate umpires Andy Fletcher. Strikeout number 6.
See that fastball up and in there, Dave? I mean, that's a pitch that, at least in my day and age, would never get called. I mean, I think the strike zone has gotten a lot more vertical, and I think that's one reason why we see so many more strikeouts. Not just the devaluing of the strikeout and the polish of the hitter, but the fact that they've made the zone more vertical. I mean, a ball to waist was a high strike when I played.
That's right.
I mean, I wouldn't even say we get a ball at the waist. I think it was below the waist to the ball, below the knee.
Well, that pitch is probably more to the truer definition of what's in the book, correct?
Correct.
I want to notice Seager's got 2 hits today.
I think the umpires would test young pitchers and give them nothing. The veteran pitcher got a wider plate, but everything was down.
Right.
And now we're seeing the upper part of the strike zone being called a strike, and it just made hitting tougher.
Trout back a few steps. Next catch, fighting the sun. 2 outs. First time Seager's been retired today. Prove your on-bus percentage. Riding is easy. Just ask our rider's guide, available at soundtransit.org. Mark Trumbo 0 for 2, sitting in a 7-game hitting streak. He struck out, fly to center. Big crowd, 36,955. 40,000 plus last night. A line drive, left field, and handled out there by Robertson. Easy inning for Heaney. 1, 2, 3 in the 6th. He's got a huge lead, 9-0. Finale of this 4-game series. Hey everybody, make your voice heard. Nominate your favorite plays of the week by tweeting us using the hashtag RootFanFave. Each month, one lucky fan's going to win a Coors Light Refrigerator just for participating. For official rules, visit rootsports.com. See if Danny Farquhar can get into shutdown mode here in the 7th inning on this glorious Sunday. Cloudy start to the day. Just absolutely beautiful right now, except for the scoreboard. Strike one to Eric Ibar. 2 hits. Reached on a sacrifice. Scored 2 runs.
He definitely defines pesky, would you say?
Tremendous.
Or pesky.
Off the middle. Miller can't make the play.
Whoa! Come on!
Dustin Ackley in left field. Takes over for Trumbo.
Just take a seat if you're good playing.
And Trumbo moves over to right field. They get Cruz out of the game. And that was a base hit that they gave Eric Ibar. David Freese. He had a bullet. Straightaway center. 2-run double, missed a home run by inches. One.
His numbers keep climbing, Dave. He, of course, was terrific with St. Louis early start of his career, but hadn't done much for the Angels until like the last 40 games, where he's really picked it up.
San Diego, a 2-0 lead at Texas, bottom of the 9th. Two and two.
It looked like that experiment in San Diego is working out real well. That fantasy baseball offense, whatever.
Freeze is gone. Farquhar's first strikeout. On the way here in the 7th. Danny came on to get the final outs of the 6th inning, retiring Trout and Pujols, the 10th and 11 men to swing the bat that inning. C.J. Cron, 1 for 3.
Stay on your toes now, guys. You might hit it.
Slicing drive, right field. Not a great route out there by Trumbo. They probably wouldn't have got it anyway. The ball was sinking. Slicing on him, base hit. C.J. Cron, 2 hits today. There's 1 out, runners at first and second. It's the 12th hit today by the Angels. Second given up by Farquhar. Daniel Robertson. Robertson, fielder's choice RBI back in the 6th inning. Pop up, almost got it. Infield fly rule in effect. Batter automatically out. Runners that try to advance at their own risk. Let's keep it here for God Bless America when we get to the conclusion of this half inning. There's Iannetta. How about Iannetta? 2-run homer. Left field in the 6th.
Thinking the one soft spot in the lineup you'd have is Iannetta. He's really hurt the Mariners today.
Time called. Two 2-0 from Farquhar. 9 runs, 12 hits, no errors. 4 left on by the Angels. For the Mariners, no runs, 5 hits. They've made 3 errors. Third time that's happened this season. Iannetta thought he had ball 4.
Better swing it the next one. You ready to hit, baby?
Tossing your bat away kind of earns you probably a borderline strike call coming up, don't you think?
Got to be ready to swing it.
Correct.
Throw it anywhere, Parkour.
He could throw it up here and it might be a strike. 3-1. He was hacking. He knows. Veteran guy. Three-two pitch, 2 outs, runner's move, and that one fouled off. Freeze in the 6-hole has driven in 2 runs. Matt Joyce picked up an RBI. Robertson an RBI. They're batting in the 8th hole. 2-run homer by Iannetta, batting 9th. Slow breaking ball, swing and a miss. Iannetta's gone. Angels strand 2. We're going to stay right here for God Bless America. Stretching your body, how about stretching your mind as you consider how a Washington's lottery win would change your bucket list as we get a good look at downtown from Beacon Hill. Good shot at the cityscape here in Seattle. That's not pretty. 9-0 Angels. It's not been a good day for the Mariners. The understatement of the last, I don't know, 30 seconds. They've made 3 errors. Only banged out 5 hits against this gentleman, and Andrew Heaney. Jesus Montero to lead it off. Walk and fielder's choice today. Montero, Morrison, and Zunino. Jesus drives one deep left center field. It's going to stay in the yard, run down by Robertson, 1 out. Safeco Field. It's going to be rocking Friday, July 24th. That's because it's fireworks night, featuring a post-game sing-along show set to some of the best rock and roll songs. So make plans to join us for Mariners Fireworks Night, presented by Seattle City Light, when you get your tickets at mariners.com. There's some fireworks that back in the day, Edgar Martinez in his prime. Great hitter here with the Mariners. Hitting coach the last 3 weeks. His new gig. Look at Morrison 0 for 2. There's Edgar.
Just a wealth of information. A guy that really had to work at his craft to be great, which should make him a great hitting instructor.
Dave Valley baseball card. What year are we talking? Hey, look, that's a really young Val.
84? I don't know.
87, we're told. John Jacobson in the truck called that year, recognized that card. Two and 2 to Morrison. Haney's numbers were impressive coming in. Bill, you talked about him before the game. A little dunk shot. Ibar makes the play. Of course he did. He's playing the Mariners. Hey, something.
He has certainly been a thorn in the Mariners' side on both sides of the game.
Robbie Cano frustrated today. That's a nice play by Ibar. Time for a Big Fish Casino big catch. Take a look at the range here by Mr. Ibar. And the extension
goes back and makes a extending catch backhanded. Great play by Ibar.
Ball 1 to Zunino. He struck out twice. And he's gone deep in his 3 previous games, and here he is in the 7th.
Well, what he's shown the Mariners is he's no fluke. He's put up a very good, despite the Keystone Cop-ish game that's being played out by the Mariners. This guy has been very, very good. 6 2/3, 5 hits, no runs, 1 walk, 6 punch.
1 and 2. Tired the last 6 minutes faced. Trout has an easy play. He's retired 7 consecutive hitters. He goes 1, 2, 3 in the 7th, 8th inning coming up. It's all Angels 9-0 as we look at the vintage Randy Johnson baseball card.
Sports Desk, some more hashtag where I root to tell you about this. And this first one's a special one. You know, yesterday we had 108-year-old Evelyn Jones throwing out the first pitch. Dad hits 100 years. All right, Grandpa, I wish we had your name, but happy birthday. Glad John Bredesen sent that in to us. The McCullough clan spending some time out at that terrific Dave Niehaus statue. And we got some 12s in the house today, all fired up. Sure, they're looking forward to the start of training camp at the end of the month. Send in your photos where you cheer the Mariners on from hashtag where I root. Let's send it back to Dave and Bill.
All right, Tom, thank you very much. Fernando Rodney getting some work here today. 9-0 Angels. Fernando will get some work in. Lloyd McClendon lauding him before the games, and been very professional in his changing role starting the year as closer. So I'm very proud of him.
He got off to a rocky start, as the numbers belie. He's been much better of late, although the home run ball has stung him his last couple of times out. But what we've seen is a much better fastball from Rodney. We saw 98 miles an hour the other night against Detroit, so I think there's reason to believe this guy could have a very strong second half.
Mariners will scatter after the conclusion of this game, and everybody will regroup in New York on Friday.
Got getting loose in the Angel bullpen. That could be all for Mr. Haney today.
Haney's more than done his work. Trevor Gott getting ready. 2-1 pitch. Line drive into the gap. Off the bat of Johnny Giavotella. Extra bases. Johnny scoots his way into second with a stand-up double. His second hit today. 16th double.
Giavotella has done a nice job for this team. Certainly isn't going to be able to replace Howie Kendrick all by himself, but has been a nice player for him. There you see taking a fastball away and slam it in the alley, and he's on second base with a double.
Here's Cole Calhoun.
As Howie Kendrick was turned into Andrew Haney, and then Giavotella became Howie Kendrick.
Howie Kendrick killed the Mariners in April.
Oh, yes.
When we were at the Dodgers.
Well, there was a squad of guys over there that hurt the Mariners that are no longer there. Torrey Hunter. Of course, Mr. Guerrero. Oh, my gosh. I don't need to go through the cliff notes there, do I?
Please. Oh, man.
Bobby Abreu. They had some guys that hurt the Mariners, that's for sure. It's a new group, though.
On to Calhoun. 0 for 3, 2 strikeouts and a walk today. Time called. Two balls, 1 strike. Taijuan Walker started for the Mariners, victimized by some bad defensive plays, and then wound up giving up a big 2-run double to David Freese, and it turned out to be a horrible 6th inning for the Mariners as the Angels sent 11 men to the plate. Omo will take this feed to Rodney. There's 1 out with a man at third. Bring up Mike Trout.
Angels on the verge of climbing back into first place, Dave, and they've obviously been on a really nice run. It's kind of interesting because could that have been predicted when you go back and look at the front office meltdown?
Yeah.
The power struggle between Jerry DiPoto and Mike Scioscia. Obviously, in some respects, it seems to have galvanized the team.
Well, it certainly did when DiPoto think it was 2 weeks ago today, maybe 3 weeks, when they're talking about he wanted to take the information gleaned from his staff upstairs, basically bypass the coaching staff. And Albert Pujols spoke up about that, vehemently disagreeing with that. Next thing you know, power struggle, and Mike Scioscia wins. Poto out.
Bill Stoneman now in that place, and you go back to the World Series team, he was the general manager, more or less the architect of that team that last won the World Series for the Angels.
In 02, he was a good right-hander with Montreal Expos. Drawn in infield, and stopped by Zunino.
Despite the troubles behind the plate, Mike Zunino has caught another brilliant first half of baseball. There's no question about that.
9 runs on 13 hits for the Angels. No runs, 5 hits, and 3 errors for the Mariners. 1-1 from Fernando. Chopped foul by Trout. 1-2. Pujols on deck.
Best 1-2 in the game now?
Boy, that's 50. What do they have? 52 home runs and what's that? 110 runs batted in. Kind of hard to argue with. If Cabrera's still healthy.
Cabrera and whomever else.
Yeah,
of course, with if you call J.D. Martinez. Yeah, that's a pretty good
he's been
comparison.
Tremendous.
Well, he was impressive when he was here. Wow, really impressive.
The Mariners got him 4 more times after the break. This one fouled back. Victor Martinez coming back off the injury list. He looked like he hadn't skipped a beat.
Something's going to happen there in Detroit.
Their
owner wants to win too bad. They're going to trade. They're going to get bullpen help. They're going to get a starting pitcher. You watch.
I believe it was yesterday or last night they got Neftali Feliz, who had been scrapped by Texas a couple of days ago. Broken bat.
Going to do something.
Ground ball. RBI for Trout. Scoring on the play is Giavitella. 10-0. Mike Trout with an RBI, his 55th. Brings up his partner in crime, Albert Pujols. Albert 1 for 4 runs scored today. Certainly not the momentum the ball club was looking for. 1st of July. Since the 1st of July, the Mariners have been on a win-loss pattern.
And that's got to be broken if you're going to make some hay. Albert about ready to overtake a guy that you must have watched quite a bit on the home run list.
Is that Mr. Michael
Mr. Jackson
Schmidt?
Yes.
I love the way Harry Kellis, the late great Hall of Famer Harry Kellis, and Michael Jack Schmidt. Guy can play some third.
Never measured up to the Philly audience though, huh?
Which is ridiculous. I was there as an intern when he was being booed in his first couple of years. He turned him around though. But
546 home runs will do that for you, won't it?
Absolutely. World Championship in 1980. Albert's put up some prodigious numbers. 2-2. Counts run full. Fernando, the 4th pitcher today for the Mariners. Walker, Rollins, Farquhar, now Fernando. Look out, look out.
know, Dave, it just floors me that God must love baseball because there's so many fans that are so close to getting just creamed by line drives and foul territory.
Here, Miller throws out Pujols. Runs scored on the Trout RBI. Angels have double digits. It's a 10-0 lead. Season. Mariners Team Store Fan Dream Stakes contest going on right now. When you stop by any of the 5 Mariners Team Stores to sign up, you're automatically entered to win one of 10 great prizes, including authentic Mariners apparel, a photo with a player, or even the chance to throw out the first pitch. Stop by Mariners Team Store to enter. It's been a long day here at the ballpark in front of 36,955 Mariners. Not productive today. They made 3 errors. It's not the momentum they wanted going into the break. As we play here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Featherston takes over at shortstop. Taylor Featherston. Carlos Perez, a catcher by trade, takes over at first base for Albert Pujols. And the new pitcher is right-hander Trevor Gott.
You can see all the changes, a lot of caddying going on here as we head into the first half, and of course the big lead for the Mariners, excuse me, for the Angels.
Brad Miller going to lead things off. He's had a good day, 2 for 2, a couple singles to center.
You see a young pitcher by the name of Trevor Gott here is no piece of cake. Upper 90s fastball with movement, curveball. 1.50 in 12 appearances so far with the Angels this year. There you see the numbers. Unscored upon 11 of 12 appearances. Started the season in Double-A and has made the quick ascent.
Fouled off by Brad. Two-one pitch. Out back.
Interesting looking at the Angels have a dilemma sort of like what the Mariners just went through when Iwakuma came out. Jared Weaver is close to coming back to start the second half. And who's going to be the odd pitcher out, because all these guys are throwing the ball well. Heaney certainly has, that's for sure. He's been lights out.
And he was very impressive.
Of course, Santiago now in the All-Star game has had a great first half. C.J. Wilson's a mainstay. So then it sort of like comes down to, of course, Garrett Richards. He's not going anywhere.
Another Foul ball.
So it kind of comes down to Haney or Matt Shoemaker, who was terrific last year, but has been so far this year.
Shoemaker 4-7 with a 4.80.
And won 15 games or 16 games for him.
Right. And Haney goes 7 strong innings today of shutout ball. It's taking his ERA down to 1.32 from 1.92. Full count to Brad Miller. Here's Shoemaker. Three-two pitch. Trout has a beat on it. And he makes another sensational catch. Another day at the office, isn't it?
When you're not quite on the beat of reading the ball perfectly, you just smear a whole bunch of athleticism on it, Dave, and you make the play, right?
He's had a heck of a series. 7 for 16, 2 home runs, 5 ribbies, 3 runs scored, and this, and I think 2 or 3 other really good catches in these 4 games.
Speed kills.
And it doesn't take a vacay. No. Austin Jackson base hit his last time up, broken 0 for 11. Single to left back in the 5th inning. All at 2 strikes. Two and two. San Diego closed out the Rangers 2-1. Kansas City held off Toronto 11-10. Minnesota 7-1 over Detroit. Orioles lost at home to Washington 3-2. Yankees win at Boston, take 2 out of 3. They beat them 8-6. Oakland won at Cleveland 2-0. Gets through the hole, back-to-back hits here for Austin Jackson. Big news in the West. Houston a 4-3 loser at Tampa Bay.
Nice job of staying on the right-hand side of the field. Austin pulls his hands inside and drives that ball the other way. You're facing a guy with above-average stuff like Trevor Gott. That's a good approach, and it pays dividends.
There's Cano. This is strike 1. Robbie struck out on a 3-2 pitch in the 5th with a couple of men aboard. Still a ball game at that point. It was 3-0. First time this decade Robinson Cano not headed to the All-Star game. Comes into this at bat hitting at .249. Second half of the season, over the course of his career, a .318 hitter. Second half. Hopefully that bodes well for the Mariners.
He and the Mariners both need to see that. Certainly taking some payback on the league in the second half would be the calling.
Trout on the run, not going to get it. Jackson to third. Cano will hold at first. First and third, 1 out here in the 8th. So Robbie Cano breaks and 0 for 8 with that base hit.
Talking about Robbie struggling with the ball in the inner half. How about this short swing? And it hits a missile to right center. That'll chase you out of there. Real nice swing there by Cano.
First plate appearance for Dustin Ackley. Placed Nelson Cruz in right field. Ellie finishes the day, goes to the All-Star game, 0 for 3 in today's contest.
Max really been on a nice run of late. He really struggled early, but since the 30th of May, hitting .310. 177 though the first 43 games, and that's what sort of has sunk his batting average.
Ball and 2 strikes. Speed pitch, hung it up in his eyes, he fouled it off. Mariners trying to avoid their 4th double-digit shutout, and they're going to get a run. There we go. And the Bronx cheer from the fans here as the Mariners finally get on the board. Ackley with a ground out RBI. Scoring on a play, Jackson. Cano to second. Dustin Ackley drives in the run, and Ackley with his 18th run batted in. Seager 2 for 3. 2 outs.
Kyle's had a good day amongst a really bad team performance. There you see the 2 for 3, the double that he hit off the wall in the first. Excuse me, in the second.
Finds a hole. Right field. Cano coming around. Calhoun will just get the ball back in. RBI Kyle Seager. 3-hit day for him. Swinging the bat well. Extended his hitting streak to 6 games back in the second inning. 3-hit day, 3 for 4. It's 11 for his last 23 and picks up his 39th run batted in.
Kyle able to stay on that change up from Trevor Gott. Keeps his hands back, and nothing like finding a hole. He lines the ball between first and second for a base hit and RBI.
Pinch runners Chris Taylor. And 2 to Trumbo. He's 0 for 3 today. Trying to extend his hitting streak to 8 games. Oh, 2 pitch. That'll be so. And 2 to Trumbo.
Carson Smith down the Mariner bullpen, get loose.
Ooh, he got tied up badly and strikes out. Mariners do get a couple of runs on 3 hits, no errors, leave a man. Angels with a 10-2 lead.
ballpark for the Mariners. Here's what's coming your way on Mariners postgame, presented by Delta Airlines. We'll hear from the skipper, Lloyd McClendon, reaction from the clubhouse, and we'll get Dave Valley's keys to the second half of the season as we get ready for the All-Star break. Right now, let's send it upstairs to Dave Sims and Bill Kruger. Guys.
All right, thank you so much, Tom. So we come to you about the A at Safeco Field. Carson Smith, the new pitcher for the Mariners, as we go to the top of the ninth inning in a 10-2 Angels lead.
Carson Smith getting some work in his last game of the first half, and what a first half he has had. 1.78 ERA, the league hitting $1.67. Saw a glimpse of him in September last year. He was good. Could we have anticipated him being this good, Dave?
Chris Taylor takes over at third. Chris Taylor Featherston took over for Ibar. 0-2.
Take a look at Carson Smith's numbers that I alluded to. 37 games, that's a team high. He's been a workhorse. How about 45 strikeouts and 35 in the third? That's like 11.5 per nine. A lot of it because of that pitch right there. As we call it, the Nintendo slider. That might be old school now. We start talking to the new school of video games.
1-2.
There it is.
So he strikes out Featherston, one away.
Good luck hitting that.
Here's David Freese. One. Freese just missed a 3-run homer. Had a 2-run double. Center field fence.
Bit of a thorn in the side today. A couple of doubles.
Two and one. Long foul ball.
You look at this Angels lineup, Dave, and everybody knows about Pujols and Trout there in the middle, but the rest of it's been a bit of a head scratcher.
Yeah.
But they've sorted that out now. Crone, Freese, they've kind of stepped up. Calhoun, and they're finding other people to give their lineup breath.
Zunino holds on to that tip. 2 outs here in the ninth. We have C.J. Cron. Pitch. Hit well. Right center field. One hop. And it's a ground rule double as it goes into the stands and bounces back. C.J. Cron, his third consecutive hit. 2 singles are right now. A ground rule double with 2 outs in the ninth.
As I mentioned, C.J. Cron, he was hitting .438 since his recall the 28th of June for this ball club, and then 3 more hits today. So certainly starting to figure it out.
Daniel Robertson looks at a strike. 0-1 pitch. He did go. Check with Jordan Baker. 0-2. Angels get 2 runs in the second, 1 in the third, and then a huge 6-run sixth. 11 men to the plate. 6 runs on 5 hits. Benefited from an error and left 2 men aboard. Miller throws him out. Last ups for the Mariners. 6, 7, and 8 in the order. Be back right after this. Not so pretty. 10-2 Angels, bottom 9. Rally hats. Hope still lives with this Mariner fan. Dancing to Chubby Checkers classic, The Twist. As Med Shoemaker takes over on the mound for the Angels.
A little different results than what he had last year, Dave. It was a 16-game winner for this team. He's been hurt by obviously the 16 home runs, just not getting the ball down as consistently as he has before, particularly with his split finger, which has been his money pitch. Getting an inning of work here, and who knows what the Angel brass might be thinking here with him pitching out of the bullpen right now.
Don't forget the All-Star game coming up Tuesday. Our CenturyLink What's Next coming up from Cincinnati. National League with a slight edge right now. This tradition started back in July of 1933 in Chicago. And then coming up on Monday, we get the Home Run Derby in a new format. Looks like, and hopefully it'll be an improved format. And there are your contestants seated.
A couple of youngsters over there in the National League squad, huh? Jock Peterson, Chris Bryant. You've got a glimpse or two of Jock Peterson?
Yeah, he's really
wow.
good.
What a player.
Played the heck out of center field, and he's got some pop. Seth Smith pinch hitting for Montero.
Those All-Star game numbers, Dave. 33-30 National League, but boy, I tell you, the last decade, 2 decades, it's been American League, has it? I don't know the numbers, but when I was a kid, it was National League winning all the time.
There was a stretch there. There's a drive deep to right. Seth Smith has just left the yard. Smithy off the bench with a home run. And for Seth, his 8th home run, his 24th run batted in. And that's his first home run as a pinch hitter this season. Nicely done. Got it on a 1-1 pitch. Good for him.
Take a look at this swing by Seth Smith. He's been swinging the bat good of late. back in the seats in right field.
Ball 1 to Logan Morrison. Sounded good too. Two and 0 to Logan Morrison. Almost 0 for 3 today. Fouls one back. There's a 2-1. After the ball ricochet, this fan ends up with it. What's he going to do? Give it to a little kid. There we go. Good deed for the day. Seth Smith's 8th career pinch hit homer. Last one was March of last year, March 30th. Almost takes strike 2. Two, nobody out. Almost saying he fouled the ball, but they're going to throw to first to get the out. Almost out. Strikeout. 2-3. 1 out in the 9th. Andy Fletcher, home plate umpire, wasn't having any of that. There's Mike Zunino. 2 strikeouts and a flyout today. Foul back. Ball down and in off the plate. Popped up. Out of play. Shoemaker with 16 starts, struggling note. ERA just below 5. Two and 2 to Mike Z. Fair ball to Giavitelli. 2 away.
It's the right idea. Didn't quite work, but it's good to see Mike try and go the other way with 2 strikes.
Brings up Brad Miller. Last hope here for the Mariners, down 10-3. 2 for 3 today. Trout made a heck of a catch on him.
Yeah, he's hit the ball hard 3 times.
Yes,
good day at the plate for Brad.
2 singles to center, and then he goes to center field again, and Trout made a running leaping catch. Ball was going over his head. Trout just got to the spot, beat it to the spot, made the play. Fly ball right field deep. Going back to get it though is Cole Calhoun, and that will do it. The first half of the Mariners season ends with the boys going 6-6 in the first part of July in a win-loss pattern. The Angels get out of here with a split of this 4-game series. And Bill Kruger, Pleasure working with you again. Enjoy your All-Star break.
You too as well, Dave. And a chance for the Mariners to take a deep breath and find the collective answers, because it's going to be a tough road coming back, going to New York and Detroit.
Absolutely. All the best to everybody in the truck. You guys and gals enjoy your break. Everybody up here in the booth. And we send it out to Mariners postgame presented by Delta Airlines. Starts right now with Brad and Dave Valley. Fellas, enjoy your break.
All right, thank you. You do as well, Dave and Mr. Kruger. All right, so the 7-game homestand comes to an end with a thud. A 10-3 loss to the Angels. Angels split the series. Mariners 3-4 on the homestand. More importantly for the Angels, they creep into first place in the AL West. So that is the way that the Mariners go into the break. You see them cleaning up the dugout there. They will be off until Friday night in New York as we take a look at our Delta Airlines keep climbing standings in the AL West. There it is. The Angels have overtaken the Astros. Astros have lost, I believe, 6 in a row. And the Angels up by a half game. Texas 6 back. Mariners 7.5 and Oakland 8.5. Needless to say, Mr. Valley, not the game that the Mariners wanted to go into the break. A little momentum from last night, thinking they can win the series, win the homestand. It just didn't happen.
Yeah, after last night, you were kind of feeling good about this ball club. Coming into today, they were 7 games out. Just 7 games out. That's one good week of baseball, but watching them play today, it was a tough game. It was very sloppily played, 3 errors. The ball was getting thrown around. Not a good day to end the first half of the year with.
Tying a season high with those 3 errors. Taijuan Walker taking the loss, and the Mariners, well, not in this one very long. 10-3, Mike Trout and the boys getting it done. He's off to Cincinnati in the All-Star game. We're off to break. Keep it here.